Thanks, Tani, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Danny Diaz. I am the director of the UCLA History-Geography Project, and I'm a former history teacher. I taught high school. I taught at Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights, and then I taught at El Rancho High School in Pico Rivera. And now I've been doing this work for about 6 years, and really proud to be part of this project. It's really meaningful to my personal history, having family roots in the citrus fields and great grandparents that went up to Fresno in the summer to pick and saved money so that they could buy purchase a home and buy some land in Santa Fe Springs, which if you didn't know is now industrialized, but back then used to be a kind of like a big piece of a land for folks to farm. So this is like very personal workshop for me. The work that we do involves supporting ethnic studies and history teachers in Southern California, Los Angeles primarily. If you are interested in the work that we do, there's going to be a link that's going to be shared in the chat that'll take you to our website, where you'll find access to workshops, a chance to sign up for our newsletter, and also lessons that are written by local history and ethnic studies teachers that are free for you to download and access and use with your students. So thank you so much again for being here. With that, I'm going to pass the mic over to Gina Alicia from La Plaza.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gina Alicia Lopez Ramos. I'm Director of Education at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. For those of you that might not know, La Plaza is a cultural museum located in downtown Los Angeles that honors the past, inspires the future, and recognizes the enduring influence of Mexicans, Mexican Americans, and all Latinos and Latinos in Los Angeles. We host dynamic programs, exhibitions, and educational programs that offer an engaging path to cultural self-discovery and encourage the appreciation of personal, familial, and community heritage. We're really excited to be a partner alongside UCLA in this series, and we want to thank them for their organization and their insight in bringing all of the elements of this series together. We hope that all of you find the content shared throughout this week informative and engaging, and we hope that it inspires and mobilizes you to create change. I have the honor of welcoming you to our first installment in this series, A Fruit's Journey, the Orange and the Avocado, facilitated by educator, cook, and founder of ArtBites, Cooking Art History, Maite Gomez-Rejón. For over a decade, Maite has been exploring the nexus of art and culinary history through lectures, cooking classes, and tastings presented at art museums across the country. She's worked in education departments of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of Modern Art, the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the J. Paul Getty Museum, has taught art history, and has worked as a private chef and caterer. A native of South Texas, Maite has a BFA from the University of Texas at Austin, an MFA from the School of Art Institute of Chicago, and a Grand Diplôme from the French Culinary Institute in New York City. She's worked in restaurant kitchens in France and Mexico before combining her two passions of art and food in 2007 when she founded ArtBites. Thank you, Maite, for joining us today.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you all so much. I'm so excited to be here. And what an amazing turnout. This is crazy. I see some familiar faces, and thank you for being here, and Tani, Daniel, and Gina for inviting me to be a part of this program. So this week is going to be really dynamic and really just informative. And so what I thought I'd do today to kick off the week is to take this journey with the orange on the avocado from their native homes to California, to the very beginning of the industry, of the citrus industry and the avocado industry. And then throughout the week, tomorrow with Matt Garcia, he'll take what we're preparing today and kind of take it apart again and get really into the nitty-gritty of today and of the workers and of the farmers and everything that's going on, right now. But what I'll do today is bring us to California, and then we're going to prepare a salad. Is anybody cooking today or cooking along with me today? I see some hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like quite a few of you. That's fantastic. So cool. So we're going to be cooking together, making a really simple salad. But before we do that, Tani, did you want to do the quiz and the breakout room?
Yeah. So first up, we have a quiz for you. So we're wondering if you know where the orange came from. So do you think that the orange came from South America, from Asia, or from Africa? If you think it came from South America, give us a wave. And you can put your view on gallery so we can see how many people think that it came from South America. Or you can use an emoji too. Okay. Give us a wave if you think it came from Africa, or an emoji. And give us a wave if you think it came from Asia. Oh, I think Asia wins. I think it does. Maite, what's the answer?
Asia wins. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Maite will tell us more about how it got from Asia to here. But before we do that, we're going to do a little breakout room. Daniel, do you want to introduce that?
Yes. So what we're going to do right now, before Chef begins walking us through this salad that she has planned, we're going to have a breakout room, and this is just a way for us to build community. Right? It's really important that we do that, especially with a group this far, and especially with distance learning. So we're going to put you in a group of 4 or 5 people, depending on how the math works out. And when you get into that breakout room, the first thing we want you all to do is just kind of quickly introduce yourselves, and that could sound something like, "Hi, my name's Danny. I live in Whittier, California, and I'm a teacher at El Rancho High School." So just really quick introductions like that. And then Chef has a question that she wants you all to think about and to really have a good discussion about before we bring you back.
So I just thought when we were talking about this before, we're thinking, what is it that you prepare at home with these ingredients? What do you make at home with the orange and with the avocado? So just think about that. And then we'll come back and share our stories, and everybody does different things.
Yeah. So we'll save 5 to 8 minutes. So we'll have a chance for you all to talk, introduce yourselves. And then the question is, what do you typically do at home in terms of food or drink with the avocado and the orange? So might you have any questions about what we're doing for the next few minutes? Okay, I'm using my teacher pause. All right. If you do have questions, feel free to just jump into the chat and ask us. Otherwise, the breakout room prompt is going to pop up in front of your screen. And when it does, just go ahead and hit accept, and you'll be taken into your breakout room to meet some of our participants. Okay. All right. So some of the answers I heard in my room were like guacamole. We just eat it raw, like we don't really prepare them. We'll just cut up that avocado or the orange. We'll eat it like that. Anybody have like something interesting that they can share? We can take like one person if you want to unmute and let us know something interesting that you heard in your breakout room about the way these ingredients are used.
I put guacamole in my burger sometimes.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious. All right, great.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Tani. I was going to say, anybody else?
Well, we talked in my room about how we don't normally put avocados and oranges together, that we tend to eat them distinctly. So I'm really excited to see what Chef Maite is going to do by combining these ingredients.
Yeah. The guacamole and the hamburger, by the way, is getting some love on the chat. Yeah. So if you have other ideas on how you use it in your homes, go ahead and just drop it in the chat. And yeah, let's see how these two ingredients can work together. So with that, Chef Maite, I'm going to hand it back over to you. You're muted.
Oh, there, am I unmuted? I had somebody in my breakout room that doesn't like orange or avocado. It's like, you're in the wrong place, or maybe we'll convert you. Maybe you're in exactly where you should be. Yes, and she has an avocado.
I'm pretty biased.
Sorry, Destiny?
I'm biased against them.
That's so funny. And she's lucky enough to have an avocado tree. But I was just saying how I literally make lemonade out of everything, which is not orange, but just I love citrus because I don't know, I grew up eating citrus on everything and avocado. But it is interesting how, you know, it's avocado toast or, you know, in a smoothie or in a juice or just eating it just as is because it's fun. It's like the perfect snack. Before I actually make the salad that actually has both of these ingredients together, one of them that's sweet and acidic, and then another one that's really, really just creamy and soft. They really work so well together. And if you love this salad and you want to make it again, it's also really amazing with jicama or with apple or with fennel to add that little crunch. So you have all of these different textures. But before I jump into making the salad, I'd love to share just a little bit of history. We talked about the citrus, the orange specifically. There's so many citruses. I'm going to focus on the orange from Asia and China specifically, but has been in India for millennia, and how it got from there to California. And the same for the avocado, which didn't have to travel that far. The avocado is native to Mexico. And they're typically both used. Guacamole was something that was said in the chat, and also Daniel mentioned, just, you know, simple. And guacamole was actually the original way that avocado was used. It's native to Mexico. It actually, the guacamole comes from the Nahuatl word guacamole, which literally means avocado sauce. And this is the way that it was consumed in pre-conquest Mexico. So it was basically, and it's such an interesting tree. I'll show an image of it and share more stories about it. But before I do that, I have, if you could see here, I have my super ripe avocado, and then I have these leaves here. These are actually avocado leaves. So this is something you pretty much, you could use, you know, the wood for the avocado wood for, you know, furniture. And the leaves are used still today and also pre-conquest as teas to soothe the stomach. It's also really wonderful in beans. You just put a bunch of avocado leaves in your beans and it gives it a really anisey taste. So it's a very distinct flavor. I love to put it in beans. It lasts forever. I've had this for a while. And it just gives it a very distinct flavor. So it was used medicinally, used also for stomach pains if you eat too many beans. The pit of the avocado was actually ground and used medicinally. A lot of the parts of the avocado were used to treat stomach pains. And also the oil pre-conquest was not necessarily used for cooking, but the oil was used for dandruff because, you know, people have always been concerned about beauty, and also for scars, to remove scars. So pretty much everything was used. And it took a long time, even though Mexico, California, so close. Mexico was part of California until the 19th century. It took longer for the avocado to get to California than it did for the orange, for all the way on the other side of the world to get to California. It's a hardy tree. It grows year round, but it's a little bit, you know, temperamental. It needed a little bit more, you know, help. So before we start, and it is one of my favorite things, what we're using today are some of my absolute favorite ingredients. And sometimes I just eat it, just cut it in half, put some salt on it, and just eat it with a spoon. And that's like perfect food. So I'm going to share my screen just for a few minutes, and then we'll go ahead and make the salad. The salad is actually very quick to make, and also one of the most beautiful things you will see today. It's a gorgeous, colorful salad. And if you have any questions, please just type them into the screen. I'm just going to take you on this journey. We'll go on this journey together. Oops, let me just close that and Just want to make sure. So here we are. So the avocado, I'm going to start with the citrus and then we'll go back to the avocado. It is actually the most popular consumed fruit in the world. And most of it, 90% of the oranges come from Florida and Brazil. So just Florida and Brazil is where most of the fruit actually comes from. Again, it is the most popular citrus fruit, but it goes back millennia, and it goes back to China. So here's sort of this region here. So it's a pretty extensive region, which is where actually it came from. And you can kind of see a few dates here. And some of the dates here are slightly off, but the reason that I chose this map is because you kind of see the bitter orange, sweet orange. So there are the different oranges. There's also lemon, limes. I'm not really going to get into lemon, limes. Those were a little bit, had made their way to Europe before the actual orange did. But we have wild ancestors of these oranges growing in China, going back thousands and thousands of years. And legend has it that this man, he's sort of a semi-mythical ruler that's said to have reigned in the 300s BC, really started agriculture in China, and the system of planting and flooding and the irrigation. And there is an early reference to citrus in the 5th century of this era in a book called The Tribute of Yu. So it's all about this person here. And you see references of the orange, not so much eating the orange, but putting the orange on the hand. So people actually holding the orange to warm, basically holding it within the hands, and then the heat of the hands just really release the essential oils of the orange. So it's this whole idea of orange and perfumery. So it's one of the earliest ways that orange was used in perfumery, also medicinally for energy. So we see this in China, in ancient China, and then we also see this in India. So there's this medical treatise from the year 100, and it's an Ayurvedic medicinal treatise that talks about this whole idea of the orange being energizing to the body. And it's the first time that we actually see the word written naranja. So in Spanish, it's called naranja. In Italian, it's arancia. So this is the first time that we see this, and it comes from, it's a Sanskrit word. So it's the first time that we see the evidence of this word that is now so familiar, dates to India in the year 100. And they're mainly referring to the bitter orange, not necessarily this sweet orange that we know today. So there are over a dozen different varieties of oranges. But these are the two most popular, or the sweet orange is what is most popular and most consumed. But the sour orange or bitter orange, sometimes it's also called the Seville orange, is the orange that first left Asia and started making its way around the world. So first, it went in the 9th century, it had made its way to the Middle East, and the Arab traders eventually started pushing it to Europe. So it made its way to Sicily, where they have these incredible orange groves in the 11th century. And then the bitter orange made its way to Spain with the Moors around the 12th century. So oftentimes we see this orange called the Seville orange after the name Sevilla in southern Spain. So this particular orange is, you see this particular orange, the sour orange, was the first orange to make its way to the Americas. So we see it mainly in early post-conquest, and around the 1530s. We mainly see it in the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's still used in the dish, the cochinita pibil. It's a pork dish. It's almost used as a vinegar. It's a marinade. So it's not an orange that you cut open and just eat. It's a very, 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 very sour. It also has a lot of seeds. So in Mexico, it's used as a marinade for fish. It's also used as a marinade for meat, this pork dish, specifically. And from, so this is how it's used in Mexico. In Cuba, they also use it a lot. Eventually, when it came to Mexico, then it made its way to the Caribbean. Again, still the bitter orange before anything else. Used in candied. It's the only way that it's really tastes good, is candied. Otherwise, it's too bitter. Or the oil, it's much more fragrant than the regular sweet orange. Both the peel and everything about it is much more fragrant. So they use the peel to make essential oils. It's also used a lot in perfumery. So this is the first orange to kind of make its way around, into the Americas, into, the New World, Mexico specifically, when the Spanish conquered Mexico. The sweet orange followed the bitter orange to Europe about 500 years later. So it took a while for the sweet orange to follow, but it really became super popular because it's sweet. You didn't have to candy it. Also, they were making marmalade with it, and this is something that wasn't needed with the sweet orange. And the sweet orange then eventually started growing, and by the 17th century, it was growing all over Europe. And in the 17th century, it was very popular in France. So here's an image of the Alhambra in Spain, where they have a lot of orange trees. And then in Versailles, France, they had these orangeries. So the weather needs to be quite mild to be able to flourish, so that the plant could actually grow and flourish and produce. So they started creating these rooms. I mean, France is cold. So in the summertime, they would put the trees outside. They would put them in pots. And then in the wintertime or at night, they would bring them inside. So these orangeries were a symbol of wealth and of status. I mean, they became these delicate, exotic fruits. And it was actually something, the oranges, Louis XIV used to serve orange slices for visiting dignitaries. It became a very sophisticated fruit. Also, they were experimenting with perfumery. One bitter orange is the bergamot orange, which is not really edible, like it just doesn't taste good to eat, but it's used for perfumery and also in teas. So in England, they make the Earl Grey tea. It's used with the peel of this bergamot orange, which is a very, very bitter orange. So again, these oranges, they become quite exotic. And the French actually first introduced this orange, the sweet orange, in Louisiana. So first, and eventually it makes its way to Mexico as well. So now we have the bitter orange and the sweet orange by the late 16th century in Mexico. The French introduced it to Louisiana. The Spaniards have already introduced it into the Caribbean islands, both the sweet and the bitter. And then eventually from Louisiana, it makes its way to Florida. And Florida is really where we start seeing these oranges start doing really well. But then it makes its way to California. I want to keep track of time because I still have a salad to make. But it makes its way to California. While it's in Florida, it makes its way to Arizona, and then to California in the 18th century with the Spanish missionaries, with the Franciscan friars. They bring wines, they bring olives, they bring citrus, lemons and orange specifically. And the first orange groves are actually planted here in LA in the San Gabriel Mission. So in the 1770s, we start seeing the first real production of citrus in California. Now, it's not on a huge scale by any means, but it's here, and using these different plants that have already made their ways. So they start experimenting with grafting, like taking certain plants, certain oranges that do well, and taking the buds and putting them together to create these stronger, sweeter varieties. And all of this starts happening in the 19th century, when we really start seeing this industry, this industry develop as an industry, not just to make perfumes or for oils, but really as an industry. And we also see them around the 16th century in Europe, during the Italian Renaissance specifically. We start seeing the orange tree appear as a symbol of purity, as a symbol, so it starts becoming loaded with all of these different, associations. But it makes its way to California in the 1770s. And then we have two people that I want to share before we move on to the avocado, that really kickstarted the industry. And this is before anybody was talking about farmers' rights or anything like that whatsoever. These two people really started this commercial industry. So this man here, William Wolfskin, he was a frontiersman. He ended up making his way to California. He became a Mexican citizen so he could buy land, and he created the first commercial farms. He took seedlings from the San Gabriel Mission, orange, and also lemon seedlings from the San Gabriel Mission, and planted them, grafted them and planted them. And he is credited with the Valencia orange, which is one of the most popular oranges that I mentioned before, named Valencia after the city in Spain. He was the wealthiest man of his day because of this. So this is in the 1840s. The Transcontinental Railroad is not yet complete, but he's doing quite well, selling these oranges and just creating this orange that's one of the juiciest, most sweetest orange that we have today. And then there was this woman, Eliza Tibbetts, who was from the Midwest. She was an ardent abolitionist. She was a political activist. She lived all over the Midwest and the East Coast. And, for her day, she was married 3 times. So she was just quite advanced for her day. And she decided to move to Riverside, California, when Riverside had a population of 300 people, and decided, because she heard that this was the place to be, and she wanted to start a community of free thinkers. And she felt California is the place to do this. She was very involved. She was in the women's suffragist movement. So he wanted to create this free thinking place in Riverside, California. And she had heard about these amazing oranges in Brazil. The Portuguese, when the Spanish were bringing the orange to Mexico, the Portuguese were taking it into Brazil. And there was a certain orange, the Bahia orange, that she had heard that was an incredible orange, incredible flavor. She had a friend in the Department of Agriculture, and she convinced her friend to get her some seedlings from this plant from Brazil, which he did. And this plant became the navel orange, which is the #1 orange sold really in the world. So she is credited with this particular orange. And she essentially kickstarted California's second gold rush. So, and this is in the late 19th century. And also the navel orange, I have one right here. It's called the navel orange because it looks like one of the ends looks like it's a navel, looks like a little belly button. It has a very thick skin. It's very easy to peel. It hardly has any seeds, and it's very, very sweet. It's very resistant. And because of the Transcontinental Railroad, it was easy to transport. It survived. It did really well because the skin is so thick. So the fruit arrived in New York and, you know, Boston, and it was delicious. It was fresh. So it became this huge hit. And it wasn't just that, it was all of these advertising, the boxes that the oranges were transported in were so romantic. It was sort of this Wild West. It was a land of opportunity, of literally of land. Here's one that says the old mission brand. There's a mission and some priests here. So this became this sort of allure. So we start seeing people moving to California, and the population in the 19th century, the population of California just skyrocketed, mainly because of the orange industry. Everybody wanted their hands on this orange industry. It took many, many years. Really, it wasn't until the 1960s for there really to be any protection for farm laborers. These were the people that just kickstarted this industry. And I think it's kind of, I think it's incredible that one of them was this woman that nobody's ever really heard of. Actually, I hadn't heard of her before. But these are the people that sort of started this. And the advertising was so important to lure people into this area. I'm going to go through the avocado really quickly before we start cooking. Avocado, super interesting, beautiful tree. And this actually dates to Mexico, to central Mexico, the region of Puebla specifically. And there's evidence that it's been growing there since about 8,000 BC. It's the only fruit that doesn't ripen on the tree. The fruit can hang on the tree for up to 16 months. It doesn't start ripening until you pick it. So, which is great for farmers because it could just hang, forever. There are about 500 varieties of avocado, and they all come from the same 3 avocados that are from Mexico. So these are just a combination, grafting of 3 different types of avocados that create the avocados that we have today. It's a beautiful tree, 20 to 60 feet tall, used medicinally. For the Aztecs, the word for avocado is aguacatl, which literally translates into testicle because of its shape. So it was thought that it had properties of virility. So once the Spanish conquest, everybody was interested in this because it had these associations with virility. So here's just a scene of, it was one of the most important food items in Mesoamerica, along with squash and beans and tomatoes and corn. It was sort of the perfect diet. It has a lot of oil. There's nothing else other than, say, olives or coconuts that have that same sort of, oil. Those are really the only 3 foods that are similar in that sense, that they have a lot of oil, lots and lots and lots of protein as well. And so this kind of gives us a sense where it's from originally, where most of them grow, but then how they sort of made themselves around the world. Just like the avocado, just like the citrus first made their way to the Caribbean, to Florida, and then eventually California. There's certain other regions, Hawaii, lots of avocados grown in different parts of Africa. Here in the Middle East, Israel, which is not on this map, is one of the main producers, or is a main producer of avocado, and then tons of production in Australia. But the main production is still here in the Americas. And even pre-conquest, the avocado was already growing in coastal Peru and in Central America. So this is essentially where avocados are from. But the main exporter is still Mexico, the main exporter to the world.
Hey, Maite,
Yes.
I'm just going to give you a time check. It's 3:45. So
okay, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to stop. I'm going to start. Thank you for that, Tawny. I get a little bit overly excited. So I just want to end with this image here. So these are this Rudolf Haas of the Haas Avocado. He was the one, just like the previous people that I showed with the orange, he was really the person to kickstart the California avocado industry in LA, or just outside of LA in La Habra. He actually, there was a man before him that had gone to Mexico, introduced these grafting techniques, and then he took some of the strongest avocados and was able to create the Haas avocado, which has again, like the avocado, has a thick skin, is easily transportable, and kickstarted this industry, which became really popular in the 1920s. Lots of ads called the aristocrat of salad fruit. It really became, it still is very, very expensive. But I love how it's shown here on a bed of lettuce. Lots of different recipes. This one is actually, and I did not even know about this, but this is basically orange and avocado salad. It was very, very popular in the 1920s, and also avocado toast. Who knew they were eating avocado toast around this time? But this is a salad actually that we are going to make. This one is mostly, the picture that I took is mostly grapefruit, but this is essentially what it looks like. And I'll continue sharing stories. And if you have any questions, please do let me know, because I know that we have just a few minutes. This is actually quite a quick salad. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I'm just going to start making it.
Oh, we do have one question in the chat from a little while ago, and that is, if someone doesn't have oranges, but they have mandarins around, like a bag of cuties, can they use that instead of an orange?
Yes, definitely. You could absolutely use that instead of an orange. And I can show you kind of how to do it. We're actually going to slice it differently. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make the dressing directly into the bowl. I'm going to just flip this camera over so that you could see what I'm doing. And please keep the questions coming. So all I'm going to do here, before I start cutting my fruit, I'm actually going to make the dressing directly into this. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of vinegar, and I'm going to squeeze the juice of 1 lime in here. So lime also made its way to Mexico early on with the bitter orange, and it really became such a huge part of the Mexican food. I'm adding lime to it just because it gives it a little bit more kick. Oranges are so sweet, so we need a little bit more acid. So I have the juice of 1 orange, some vinegar. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just going to add a teaspoon of salt and some cracked pepper, just to give it a little bit of a kick. And I'm just going to whisk this together and set this aside, and we're going to start putting our citrus directly into this. So that's it. Super simple, super simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice the salad in a way that is quite decorative. Or just, if you're using a mandarin here, you could just go ahead and peel it. Actually, I have a little mandarin orange. So I'll just, you could just basically peel it. These mandarins oranges are so great because they are so just easy to eat and so sweet. So if you're doing this, just take it apart and just throw the pieces, just maybe remove some of this white pith that's a little bit bitter. But you could just throw them in there. And otherwise, or if you have both, you could sort of mix it up just to give it a little bit of texture. I'll use this navel orange that I showed before. So what I'm going to do is just cut the top and the bottom, just to be able to stand it up flat like this. And then I'm gonna peel it with my knife. And this just gives it a really, just make sure you just peel all of the white pith. It's kind of incredible how, you know, the voyages that it takes. And, you know, even when the avocado first made its way to Spain, people were just amazed by it. And, you know, one of the first references about it was that it was, it tasted like, they called it, it's greasy like lard and it tastes like a green nut. And it was not very good for marketing purposes, like, you know, greasy like lard. But people were intrigued by it because it had these associations with having these sexual properties. But it took a while for the avocado to really, you know, they were grafting it until they really got the right, the right trees. There's about 500 different trees now. So I'm just slicing it into these little rounds like this. It almost looks like a flower. So again, this is the navel oranges. That is the most popular orange, the hardiest orange. And I'm just gonna put this in the bowl. And then I have this gorgeous blood orange. Look at that, it's so beautiful. So this is the blood orange. This is actually native to the Mediterranean. This is Sicily. Sicily is one of the main places for this. And it's not as sweet. I made a salad the other day. I added cinnamon, honey, and orange blossom water to a blood orange because it's a little bit tart, or at least the ones that I got were a little bit tart, and it tasted so amazing. Kind of a North African flair, but this is, look at that. It's just so perfect, so beautiful. I'm gonna add this to our salad. And then, even though we didn't really talk about it, I'm gonna add a grapefruit because this is most grapefruits that are grown in the US. There's some industry, most of the grapefruit industry in the US is in Texas, is in the Rio Grande Valley, especially these ruby red grapefruits. And the grapefruit actually it dates to the 18th century. It's a relatively new hybrid. It's a mix of the mandarin orange and of a pomelo, which is an early grapefruit. So I'm gonna just slice this, and then I'm gonna bring this one does have a lot of seeds. Bring this over. And I know we have just 1 minute left, but I'm gonna just put this in my salad and show you because it looks really stunning. And the last thing that I'm gonna do, actually first I'm gonna bring this over. Let me just put this on here to show you. How beautiful is that? All of these different, just different colors. I'm just gonna mix this up just to get some of the, make sure that they're covered in the citrus and the vinegar, because there's so much sweetness here. I love the way these little cuties look mixed in there. And then I'm just gonna take my avocado just to give it a little, this was sold as, you know, a health food. Early advertisements for the avocado talked about it, you know, a pound of avocado has as much protein as a pound of beef. So there are all of these, I'm just gonna cut this into little tiny pieces. And for this, you wanna be really careful when you toss it because you don't wanna end up with guacamole. You wanna end up with just little squares. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna my hands are clean. I'm just gonna kind of break this apart and mix that in there with my hands just so that I don't end up with mushiness. And then I'm just gonna top it off with a little bit, you know, a few fresh herbs. I'm just gonna put a few pieces of mint, on here and a little bit of cilantro. And this is completely optional. I love the herbs because it gives it a little oomph. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of tajin, which is this kind of little, gives it a little spice, a little kick to it. And that's it, that's our salad. Does anybody want to share their salad that they've made at home? I know I went through this quite quickly, this salad, but it's the easiest thing to make at home. And it's so delicious. And this is a salad that will taste delicious tomorrow, unlike a regular, lettuce salad. The citrus is really going to absorb all of the flavors, and it's going to taste even better the next day. Does anybody want to share or have any questions before I hand it over to
I know
Lauren?
what many of us are eating for dinner tonight, Maite.
I think so.
I
Anybody?
have a question.
Yes.
So will you like drop the receipt on like Schoology or something in case like we want to make it again, or?
The salad, yes. I don't know where is that, Tani? There's a recipe on the site.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat here. This is our project site, and the recipe is on there as a PDF that you can download. And we'll also be posting a recording of this. So if you want to watch it again as you make it at home, you can do that. We'll have the link. We should have the links up next week.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to share their salad if you made it? Or let us know if you did.
Marjorie is sharing hers. It looks great, Marjorie.
Oh, yum.
Oh, beautiful.
There's Marisa's right there. That looks really good.
Oh,
Wow.
gorgeous.
Amy.
Oh, I see Amy's. Yay.
Amy, I think that's Coco's, right?
Love it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. Sorry, I know that I just went over slightly, but thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed it. And please, if you have any questions, please, I'll be here tomorrow. So.
One quick question. How much of each? How much apple cider vinegar are we supposed to add? I don't think there's the amount.
Oh, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and then 1 lime and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So 1 tablespoon of vinegar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, thank you, Maite, for taking us through this journey of history and culture and the taste buds. And tomorrow we'll continue into a different kind of journey where we look at the movement of foods and food workers across borders. We have a historian speaking to us tomorrow, Professor Matt Garcia. We're really excited. You can expect an email this evening to remind you of the details, but the Zoom link will be the same, and it's the same time tomorrow. We also have an evaluation form for today that's in the chat. There's a link there. If you wouldn't mind just taking a minute to fill that out, that would really be appreciated. We did get grant funding for this, and in order for us to continue funding these kinds of events, having that feedback is super helpful for us. And Daniel, was there anything else you wanted to add to wrap up?
No, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And like I said in the chat, the journey continues tomorrow. Now we're looking at food through the lens of labor and politics. And Professor Matt Garcia is going to be joining us, and he's actually going to be referencing today's California salad to kind of kick off his talk. So we're really excited about that. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm guessing we're all hungry and we sort of want to go and have some orange and avocado or eat our delicious salads that we made. So thanks again. Fill out the evaluation. I will be sending an email to you all around 6 o'clock tonight with information for tomorrow and the link and all of that. So be on the look for that. Thank you again.
Thank you.